Ever heard of a love story so wild it sounds like a movie? Picture this. A young, handsome billionaire. The world at his feet decides to marry a woman decades older than him. The world was shocked. Tabloids had a field day, calling her a gold digger and him a fool. But what if I told you that everything you thought you knew was wrong? Years later, their daughter stepped forward and revealed the truth. So jaw-dropping, it changed everything. This isn't just a story about love and money. It's a story about secrets, sacrifice, and a promise that spanned a lifetime. Stick around, because you won't believe how this story ends. Our story begins with Leo Vance, a tech mogul who, by the age of 28, had built an empire from scratch. He was the most eligible bachelor on the planet, with a sharp mind and even sharper looks. On the other side, we have Clara Peterson, a 68-year-old retired librarian. She lived a quiet, simple life, finding joy in her books and her small garden. Their worlds couldn't have been more different. So how did they even meet? It wasn't at a glamorous gala or a hyperword business meeting. It was in the waiting room of a hospital's oncology ward. Leo wasn't there for himself. He was there for his mentor, a man named Arthur, who was battling a late-stage illness. Arthur was like a father to Leo, having taken him in when he was a struggling orphan. Clara was there visiting her best friend. Day after day, Leo and Clara would sit in the same uncomfortable chairs, sharing silent nods that eventually turned into quiet conversations. They didn't talk about Leo's billions or Clara's past. They talked about books, about gardening, about hope, and about the pain of watching someone you love fade away. A strange, yet beautiful, friendship blossomed in that sterile, somber place. A few months later, both Arthur and Clara's friend passed away. In their shared grief, Leo and Clara found an unexpected source of comfort in each other. He admired her wisdom and her calm, gentle spirit. She was captivated by his kindness and the old soul that lived within the young billionaire. One evening, over a simple dinner, Leo did the unthinkable. He asked Clara to marry him. The world erupted. His board of directors threatened to resign. His friends thought he'd lost his mind, and the media painted Clara as a cunning predator. Through it all, Leo stood firm. He held Clara's hand, looked into her eyes, and publicly declared his love. He said, "Clara's wisdom and grace are worth more than all the fortunes in the world. She is my anchor." They married in a small, private ceremony, away from the prying eyes of the world. They built a life together that was surprisingly normal. They traveled not to lavish resorts, but to quiet historical sites. They hosted small dinner parties, not for investors, but for old friends from Clara's book club. Leo seemed happier than ever, and a serene glow returned to Clara. People whispered, but the couple was an island of tranquility in a sea of judgment. They lived this way for 5 wonderful years. Then, Clara passed away peacefully in her sleep. Leo was heartbroken. At her funeral, he was a pillar of strength, but those close to him saw the deep sorrow in his eyes. Clara left her entire, albeit modest, fortune to various children's charities. In her will, she wrote, "To my dearest Leo, thank you for giving me the 5 most beautiful years of my life. You taught me that it's never too late to find true happiness. This only fueled the public's confusion. If she wasn't after his money, what was this all about?" The mystery deepened, and the world was left to wonder. Now, let's fast forward 15 years. The world had mostly forgotten about the strange marriage of the young billionaire and the old librarian. Leo Vance continued to run his empire, but he remained a private, almost reclusive figure. He never remarried. The public's attention had shifted to his adopted daughter, a brilliant and compassionate young woman named Lily. Lily was the head of the Vance Foundation, one of the largest philanthropic organizations in the world, dedicated to funding education and healthcare for underprivileged children. She was a force for good, admired by all. It was during a major charity gala for the foundation that the truth finally came out. A journalist, known for his aggressive questioning, cornered Lily. He asked, "Ms. Vance, your father's marriage to Clara Peterson remains one of society's biggest mysteries. Some still say it was a publicity stunt. What is the real story?" Lily, who had always avoided this question, took a deep breath. She looked at her father, who gave her a subtle, reassuring nod from across the room. She turned back to the reporter and the cameras, and the entire ballroom fell silent. "It wasn't a stunt," she began, her voice clear and steady. "It was a promise. and it's time everyone knew the truth. My name is Lily, but that's not my full name. My full name is Lily Peterson Vance. A gasp rippled through the crowd. She continued, Clara Peterson was not just my father's wife. She was my grandmother. The revelation was a bombshell. Lily went on to explain the story that had been hidden for so long. Clara had a daughter, a single mother, who struggled to make ends meet. That daughter was Lily's mother. Lily's mother was diagnosed with a terminal illness when Lily was just a little girl. Her dying wish was for her daughter to have a safe and stable future. Clara, her grandmother, was already in her 60s and living on a small pension. She was terrified she wouldn't be able to provide for her grandchild. One of Clara's few assets was a portfolio of old stock certificates she had inherited from her own father. They were from a tech startup he had invested in decades ago, a company he believed in. She thought they were worthless. One day, while cleaning out old boxers, she showed them to her hospital friend, the young man who was always so kind and patient. Leo's eyes widened when he saw the certificates. It was stock from his own company, from its very first, most crucial round of funding. Arthur, Leo's mentor, was one of the initial investors, and apparently so was Clara's father. Those worthless papers made Clara a significant multi-million-dollar shareholder in Leo's empire. She was a silent, unknown partner all along. Leo was stunned. But then Clara told him about her dying daughter and her granddaughter, Lily. She didn't want the money for herself. She wanted to use it to secure Lily's future. Leo, who knew the pain of being an orphan, was deeply moved. He saw his own mentor, Arthur, in Clara's selfless love for her grandchild. So he made her a proposal, a pact. Let me help you, he said. Marry me. Together, we can give Lily the best life imaginable. We can fulfill your daughter's final wish. I will raise her as my own. I promise. So the marriage wasn't a romance in the traditional sense, but a partnership built on a foundation of love of a different kind. The love for a child. Leo legally adopted Lily. Clara, as his wife, could ensure her granddaughter's inheritance and future were protected beyond any doubt. The 5 years they spent together weren't a lie. They were a family. They were two people bound by a shared secret and a common goal who grew to deeply respect and care for one another. Leo gave Clara peace of mind in her final years, and Clara gave Leo a family of purpose beyond his business. She gave him Lily. As Lily finished her story, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. The cynical journalist was speechless. The whispers and judgments of the past were replaced by a wave of understanding and admiration. Leo Vance wasn't a fool. He was a hero. Clara Peterson wasn't a gold digger. She was a devoted grandmother. Their story wasn't a scandal. It was the ultimate act of love and sacrifice. It was a testament to the fact that family isn't always about blood. It's about who is willing to hold your hand when you need it the most. And so a decades-old mystery was finally solved, revealing that the most valuable fortunes aren't measured in dollars, but in the promises we keep and the love we share. Thank you so much for watching. If this story touched you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible true stories. See you next time.